Hey guys, how are you doing? It's Catherine, and I wanted to make a video to talk about AI art. Oh no, I can feel the controversy just emanating at the moment. Before I do that, I just wanted to check in with you and say, how are you getting on with the new update tangent templates? Had an incredible reception on YouTube. You guys are so nice, so excited to see all of the new features that you can add images, you can add fonts, you've got the cool picture book that lets you just load up a whole bunch of images in one go, create a coloring book or create an art book, like just like that on the fly. A whole bunch of cool new features. Oh, and the cover designer. You guys are really loving the cover designer. So thank you so much for the feedback. We're going to keep updating that. We're going to keep adding new content, new functions, new tools. Just let us know what you want. Send us an email, support@tangent.rocks, because we just want to make tangent templates better and better. So let's talk a little bit about AI. So this video is not going to be a tutorial on any particular AI platform. Instead, all I want to do is really just talk about using AI art in your projects. I'm gonna hold on for a little bit before we really get into the nitty-gritty about how to use these platforms. A lot of you have been asking for classes, for videos, and I do want to do that, but this is just going to be a quick-ish video to sort of look at what's possible if you're already making art with AI, and just to talk about whether you can use that on Amazon KDP. I hesitated for a little while before I made this video. And the reason I've hesitated is because I know there's a lot of controversy about AI art and AI in general. I think some of it is misconceptions. There are some things that are quite valid. So let's just talk about that. One of the first things I hear is that AI art isn't very good, or it doesn't have soul. I hear that one a lot. I think we need another way to talk about that, because I'm not really sure what no soul means. And actually, I mean, I'm looking at my screen right now, and most of these images were generated with AI, and I like them. So if you don't like it, that's kind of an aesthetic thing, and I understand, but it's getting better and better. Midjourney actually just put out their version 5, which pretty much makes photographs at this point. It's a little uncanny. A couple of other things, it really sucks for people who've spent a lot of time developing skills. Between ChatGPT and Midjourney, what we're seeing is a lot of skill sets are kind of being shared with everyone. Now, you don't necessarily need models and photographers and all these things. A lot of it things you can do with AI, which is really interesting. We're going to see where that goes in future. I do think it might have an effect on the economy, and I do worry about that. You know, guys, there's not much we can do with it except for roll with the changes. Google was a big game changer. Wikipedia was a big game changer. Autocorrect, calculators, all of these things. AI is another technology change that we don't really have a lot of choice. We've just got to get behind it and work with it and see it as a tool and see it as something very useful that we can use in our projects and in our work, because if we don't get with it, we're probably going to be left behind, which really sucks. I've been thinking about AI for a while and whether I would recommend it for KDP, for Amazon, for other platforms like that. And I've looked at a lot of different opinions, a lot of different debates. And I know one of the big ones that's up there is that AI art is art theft. And I think this is something of a misconception, but I can also see, I kind of see both sides of this. So AI doesn't, like the AI art generators, they don't collage images together. So when you put in a prompt, you're not getting like bits of this person's art and this person's art and sticking it all together. Instead, what AI does is it has learnt. It has learnt from millions and millions and millions of imagery, whether those are stock photographs, whether those are things from art sites. I think it's mostly stock photographs, but there's also things like movies, video games in there. It understands a lot of art styles, it understands a lot of photographic styles, fashion styles, all of these things, and it understands what objects are. So the more it trains, the more it learns, like, what makes an apple, what makes a cat, and what are all the different varieties of cat or apple. and it's learning very, very fast. And each version that comes out, Midjourney, DALL-E, it's like a step forward, a big step forward. So we're at this place where AI is getting very, very powerful. It can generate photographs, which is pretty crazy. But the thing that really made me feel like, okay, AI is here. Well, first of all, I saw Accenture, and Accenture said this is going to be the biggest disruption of the year, and I don't think they were wrong. The second thing that made me convinced that, okay, AI is here, we're not getting away from it, was Adobe. Adobe actually now accept AI-generated art for their stock collection. So what I see from that is that if Adobe, which is like one of the biggest stock photograph sites, one of the biggest digital art sites on the planet, is now accepting AI art, then I think it's here. And I think if you use it in your Amazon books, I mean, I'm not Amazon. They can change the game at any time. I've actually published quite a lot of books in the last couple of months using AI art, and touch wood, I haven't had a problem with them. Now, I don't work for Amazon. At the moment, I don't see anything in their policies against using AI art in your books. And I think really what will probably happen is that it'll just be covered by their current policies. So for example, they have a policy about disappointing content. If your book gets a ton of complaints from users because it's got like all your people have got like 17 fingers, that might be a disappointing piece of content. So just if you are going to send AI art into Amazon, to KDP, be discerning with that. So my take on this, AI art is here. AI is here. We're not going to get away from it, but keep the quality high of what you're doing. Use your integrity. Like, don't go and generate Hello Kitty, because that's probably a bad idea. That's going to be a copyright violation. And talking of copyright, there's a couple of quick things that you should probably know. Bear in mind, again, I'm not a lawyer. I don't work for Amazon. First thing is, are you going to generate things that infringe on other people's copyright? Well, probably not. Probably not if you're not trying to. If you just sort of put in regular prompts, use public domain artists in your prompts, or use simple descriptions, you're probably not going to generate anything that infringes copyright. If you put someone else's name or art style in your prompts, then that gets a little bit more hit and miss. I can tell you that it is quite easy to get like Hello Kitty or Mickey Mouse or something like that. I would stay away from doing something like that. And personally, I would stay away from doing art styles of up-and-coming artists, living artists, because that's not cool to take away from their art style, especially if you use their name or do anything like that. So stay away from anything that's going to be an obvious copyright violation. Bear in mind that the copyright law is all about the finished product. They're not going to care what prompts you typed in. They're going to look at the finished image and say, does this infringe on someone else's copyright? Does this image look like someone else's artwork? So make sure that your images are original. And for the most part, AI will not generate the same image twice. So you shouldn't really have any concerns about that unless you are deliberately trying to create characters or art styles like someone else. For the most part, you should be okay. Again, not a lawyer. Now, do you own the copyright on your AI? Now, this is a huge mess right now. The Copyright Office, they kind of don't seem to know what they're doing with this at the moment. They're putting out inquiries, they're asking the public for their feedback. There's a whole lot of things going on there. At the moment, what they're saying is that if it's computer generated, you probably don't own the copyright on it. However, if there's human input into that, then that human input is probably going to be copyright to you. So where does this leave you? Well, I guess if you tell people that your images are pure AI images and they copy them, you might not be able to do anything if they steal your images and do something with them. However, if you've edited your images, if you've transformed them, if you've done some work on them, then that gets a little bit more of a grey area. So at this point, I wouldn't take anyone else's AI images. And why would you? Because you can generate your own. I would not worry too much about this. If you've generated your images, okay, maybe someone else can take them. I would do some work on them. I would do some modifications on them. At the moment, it remains to be seen how much work you need to do on your images to own the copyright on them. but that's something that's probably going to become more clear in due course. But I wouldn't worry too much about it. I mean, put your images out there. If someone steals them, oh well, you've got a whole book. I mean, if they steal the whole book, then that's your content, and you can say, well, I curated and built this content. So you do have options. So let's talk a little bit about tangent templates, and what you are looking at here is our designer tool that lets you make very fancy interiors like this. We're going to come back to this in a moment, but first I just want to show you our basic tools here. The original tangent templates just gives you all of these cool interiors. And you know, I see so many people just making journals, just making lined paper. But if you have this, you can create all kinds of books just as easily as journals. This is very, very simple to use. Like basically, if you want to make a dot grid notebook, if you want to make a college rule notebook, graph paper, you can even make like sheet music, sketch paper. You can make a prayer book, a sermon journal, recipe book, all these things. Plus there's a zillion things in education, mindfulness. The Lovember is just a huge mix of all kinds of different things in there. So we have templates for all kinds of books. Plus you have planners. You can create a dated planner for the year. And you can do that just as easily as making lined paper. So I see people going, oh, aren't journals oversaturated? Aren't people making so many journals? Well, yeah, they are, but you can make all kinds of things with this just as easily as journals. So even if you don't touch the designer tool, you can just download an interior here. And the way you do that is if you want to do graph paper, you just click on the graph paper, choose your trim size. So like 8.5 by 11 is letter size. And you just say 200 pages. Yes, you want bleed. And you download the interior. And that's your interior ready to upload to KDP. You have graph paper right there. It's a PDF. 200 pages of graph paper. So if you're lazy, you just want to make a simple book, that's how easy it is. You can just generate the interior here. So then all you've got left to do is to create a cover. So let's take a look at how you make a cover. So I'm going to go to the designer tool, and you can see you've got your choice here now between designing an interior, designing paperbacks, or designing hardbacks. So I'm going to go and choose a paperback cover because I want to show you this one that I made. So I made this journal cover. It's called Meditate and Journal. And this is just an image from Midjourney that I created. Let me show you how I created it. So what you do is you're just going to go to project, and we're going to create a new project here. So I'm going to say paperback, 8.5 by 8.5, page count's 150. If you end up creating a bigger book, you can actually resize your cover. So that's a nice option in our cover designer. So I'm going to do quick start a new design. First thing, I'll just move those out the way over there, the book title. We're not going to need a subtitle, so I'll delete that. Now, I have the image here. I've already uploaded it. So I'm just going to put that on the page, and then I'm just going to make that big so it fits the page. What I did with this is I actually put a box behind it. We put this box here. You'll see why I do this in a moment. I'm going to make this the size of this page. And I'm going to fill it with this brown color. So you can see what I did here. I used the dropper to fill this box. And now I'm just going to put this image on the top. So I'm going to do center front, move this back over, and then I'm going to bring the opacity down. And you'll see what that does. It kind of gives it this nice off-white look. And then what I'm going to do is make the rest of the book the same color. So where it says back, that's the background. I'm just going to use the dropper, and I'm going to select that color. There we go. That looks pretty awesome. So I'm going to have to extend this box. There we go. So it's all the same color. And now I'm going to call this Meditate and Journal. So if you don't want to type on the spine, you can just go to type here and put Meditate and Journal there. And you see it does your spine text perfectly. And then I'm just going to change the title here. So we're going to call it Meditate and Journal. And the way that I made this all pretty, I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so it'll fit on the page. Here's another way you can do it. You can just change your text this way, just by like sliding it up and down like that. So I'm going to put it across here. The way I made this look cool is that I go to Style and I give it a border. So I'm going to make the border, let's see, I want to have it pink so it'll stand out. So you can do this multiple ways. I can set it here, or I can go and change the palette there. I can also use all of our fancy custom palettes, but I don't need those right now. So I'm going to make the thickness a bit thicker on the borders so you can see that. Let's make it kind of strong there. There you go, you get the idea. So that's how I created. How did I do it? Oh, I made it a little thinner and I had a lighter pink. So let's make the pink a little lighter. And let's make the type. I think we use that darker grotesque. And you can make the character spacing a little wider as well if you want it. You can experiment with that. There we go. Yeah, you get the gist of it. That's how you make a pretty awesome cover. Here's another example of a really simple cover that I made, again, using an image that I created using AI. I had this cool sort of sea glass picture behind, and all I did was I used a shape. So we have these cool shapes here. So there's a heart. And what I did was I just, again, I like to use the colors from the image because I think that really blends well. And then I put a border on it. And again, I used like that color for the border. Make it a little thicker. And you can have fun with this. You can really play with this. For example, you can create dotted lines as well. See, that's kind of a fun effect. There we go. Not going to see that too strongly on that background. Let me change it up so you can see it. There you go. So you can really play with the dotted lines to get different effects. I kind of like that effect with dotted lines. So that's fun. And then again, I changed the opacity. I just brought the opacity down a bit so you can see it through. So you can see that's how you can add shapes, cover panels very, very easily. If you want to add some text here, add some images, you can totally do that. We have all the cool TT images that you can pull from there. Or, of course, you can upload your own. So let's go back to our Meditate and Journal. This is our little book here. And how do you make an interior for this? Well, it's super, super easy. Here is an example. This here is another image that I generated. I do a little bit of processing and transformation on them, for the copyright reasons and also to make them look good. I'm going to talk more about that in another video. I'm going to get more into how I actually make images with AI, but I'm not going to get too deep into that in this video because there's a bit more to it. But this is an image that I generated and did a little bit of work on, and I just dropped this on the page here, and then I added some journal paper and a little bit of text. And what's great about this is once you've created your page, you can just duplicate it as many times you like. So I can say, I don't know, I want 149 versions of that. There it goes. It's going to go in and create 149 versions of that page. There it goes. Boom. Now you've got a book. That's your interior, 150 pages with this meditation page. And I'll show you how I built the page. It's very easy. What I did was I actually used the rocket ship. And you can see here, it's actually in both the presets and the templates, the journal page. So it's nice and easy to get hold of. I just used the journal paper. And I deleted the last 3 bars of it. If you use a template, let me show you something quickly with the templates. If you're going to use a template, what you can do, for example, let's say you want to use guitar tabs. These fill the page. You can see this. This is the whole template. So you can just like skim it down. You can make it smaller. You can do that. Another thing you can do with it that's pretty awesome, you've got a couple of choices actually. You can ungroup it, which takes everything apart. So you can play with the lines. I mean, if you don't like that line at the top, you can delete it. If you don't want tabs, you just want sheet music, you can just delete the tabs. Another thing you can just do is we're going to put the tabs on again. There it is, the guitar tabs. And this time you can see that all you can do actually is just size it like that. I want to be able to size it lengthwise. What I mean is size it that way, horizontally. So I'm just going to go to my Arrange tab, and I'm going to click this little button down here, Unlock Skew. And that actually lets me stretch it out that way. So that's pretty cool. And then I can just go in and add my image underneath. There's the image. And what I'm going to do is turn off the margins. because I want this to stretch all the way across the book. We've got our bleed set, so it should be fine. And I'm just going to say full width and drop that at the bottom. There it is. And I want to make sure that the background matches the image. So I'm actually going to go here and go background, and I'm going to click this background there. And that makes sure that everything blends nicely together. So that's how I created it with sheet music, but you can see I did exactly the same thing with a journal page there. So I put journal page, just deleted those bottom lines, and I can add some text here. So if I want to add text, be like sheet music, I can just add that. I can just add that. There it is. I want to make sure that's within the margins. What you don't want to have, if you have your margins on, this shows you where the margins of the paper are. Even if you have bleed, what you don't want to do is have anything starting in the margins. That's going to be a problem. If something's in the margins, make sure it goes all the way to the edge. So like these images are okay because this goes all the way to the edge. And if you have a colored background, it should be fine because the colored background will go all the way to the edge and KDP will see that. But if you have a white background, just be careful that you don't have anything kind of floating in the margin, because that's the kind of thing that will trigger an error at KDP. But this should be absolutely fine. So that's how easy it is. You just create your page, you create one page, and then you can duplicate it as many times as you want or mix it with another page. So I'm just going to show you an example of a book that I created using tangent templates with some black and white illustrations as well. So this I actually made in version 4 of Midjourney. The new version actually looks a little better, but I was pretty happy with this image. And this is a spell book that I made with our spooky spell paper. So what I did, oops, you can see there's the spell paper there. Now I think there's better ways of doing this. You can alternate the spell paper with the images, but I actually put my images more at the front of the book with some text. So for example, you can see that I put some illustrations on the page, and I actually used ChatGPT to help me write this. So I put some stuff about herbalism in here. I put some stuff about deities, meditations, like a morning ritual. So all the things that someone who likes spells might want to put in their book. But you can see it's the tangent template spell paper. In fact, I can show you that very quickly. You can just go here, get the rocket ship, and the spell paper is there. So that's very easy to add to your book. You can just put this in and then put your images on the other side. So it's really nice to just sort of use AI to create these cool illustrations. They look really nice. Now I can show you a couple of color books. So this is one of the first, I think this is the first book I made with AI, and I'm kind of outing this because it's very expensive. So the day I published it, I actually got a sale in Europe. It hasn't sold a whole lot since then, but that's because I've done zero marketing. As I say, it's very expensive because this is the premium version of KDP's color books. So I can show you what it looks like. It looks pretty awesome inside. Again, I actually used ChatGPT to help me write this. It's a book about breaking the simulation. And you can see it's very glossy. It's kind of like a magazine. I'm pretty happy with how the quality of this came out. Sorry, I've got bright lights. But you get a feel for how nice and how professional these books look, the premium. Now, you want to keep your page count low if you're using premium, if you're creating premium books, because it does get a bit expensive. Now, this is actually a public domain book that I illustrated. So it's the Jungle Book by Rudyard Kipling. And you can see here I made some nice, oh, there we go. There's a nice monkey. It has more of a sort of comic book feel. This is the standard color books, but it still looks pretty nice. I made the paper sort of sepia colored, which I don't know if I'm happy with that choice. It looks good to me, but it does have more of a comic-y book feel. So that's kind of two books. This one using the premium, this one is the standard color. So you've got your choices with color books. I'm going to show you quickly now how you can create an art book in like a minute, maybe a little bit longer. It depends how many pages you've got. So let's start a new project. I'm going to go project. Yep, start a new project. And we're going to do an interior. So this time we're going to make a square book, 8.5 by 8.5. We're going to say yes to bleed. And here's my brand new book. So what I'm going to do is use picture book. So first of all, I'm going to upload some images. So I made some cool pictures of purses. I couldn't sleep one night. I didn't really know what to do with myself. So I used AI to create fantasy purses that I might one day enjoy carrying around. So I'm uploading those images now. There's 50 of them, so it just takes a moment to upload. There you go, you can see them coming up. And they're very pretty. I was kind of fond of these purses. Let's have a look at one. There's one there. I like it. And let's see what else we've got. There's another one there. So you can see I made these cool purses. So now we've uploaded all of our images, we can just use picture book, and this is what it does. So you choose your folder. Oh, they're still in a bundle. It just named it TT bundle. I don't want any blank pages in this. Now, blank pages are really useful for coloring books. So what you can do with the blank page is actually say which page that you've designed that you want to use as a blank. And what that does is it gives you a spare page on the left-hand side, which is great for coloring books because a lot of people like black pages in between their coloring pages. So that's a pretty cool thing that you can do with this. You can also create a template page. If you want to have the same content on every left side page or right side page, you can absolutely do that by setting a blank here and using a template page. You can also use like lined paper. So if you wanted to create maybe a notebook that has images on one side and lined paper on the other, you could absolutely do that with this. So it basically just gives you something to put in between the art pages that you're creating. So for this project, we're not going to bother. We're just going to say scale to fit the page, use the margins. I want it inside the margins. I don't want it to bleed all the way to the edge. I want to have some margins around it. And I'm going to shuffle the image order. And watch this. We're going to say import images. And there go my purses. It's building the book for me. So you can use this for coloring books. You can use this for art books. I used it for this book. You can see each page. There's like an image on one side. There's text on the other side. So you can see how that works. So I put the text and the hexagon grid on one side, and then I put the images on the other side. So that's a great way of doing it, because then you can just go and type in whatever text you want on the other side. So here we go. This is our art book all ready to go. It looks great. There's all the pictures. It's created all the pages. So you have a 52-page book here. You can go in and put your introduction or anything you want to put there. We actually have a preset that you can use for copyright to put your copyright information on there if you want. Or you can just create your own. You can fill in your details there, so you can put your name, the date, all of that information in there. And you can go and add, if you want to add captions, if you want to add like shapes, you can do that. Like if you want to go in here and put like a note, you could make that shape and then put some text in it and be like, my favorite purse. Whatever you want to do here, you can go and add your content there. Let me bring that down. There we go. So you can play with this. You can put anything over the top of these that you want. You can add extra shapes. You can add extra images. But that's how you create an art book very, very fast. I'm going to talk, I know a lot of you want to talk about colouring books. I have done some colouring books. I want to talk about colouring books more in detail in another video in the future, because there's a little bit more to colouring books, to making sure that you get a really good, crisp image for people to colour. So I'm going to go more into that in the future. What I did want to quickly show you is that there's some interesting ways to do colouring books, actually. For example, I mixed colouring images with sheet music. So, I mean, if you wanted to make a country music sheet music book, you could put colouring pictures on one side. Or if you want to do like heavy metal, yeah, that's more my jam. If you want to do like a heavy metal colouring book, you could absolutely do that as well. So you're not limited to just colouring books. You can mix colouring images with these actual interior pages, which is a pretty neat effect. Or like I did, I mean, you can mix public domain content with illustrations. So that's another thing you can do. So you have so much power with this to create some pretty awesome books. Okay, so let's go back to this project. So I've made a few of these projects, and I've done them with themes. So this one I'm calling Paper Towns. And you can see I used kind of a collection of these images that I generated and did a little bit of work on just to make them really nice. And I've put these into this project here. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put these image packs on Gumroad. So this one's called Paper Towns, and I've made a few more. You can see here I've made an owl. This is my owl project, which I think is very sweet. I can turn the margins off so you can see that properly. There you go. And what's great is you can use these on any of our templates. You just shrink the template down a little bit. You can see what I did there. That was our income and expenses image, which you can find in TT Images under finance there. We've got all kinds of things there. Debts snowball, we've got ledgers, savings, all of those things there. So I just used the income and expenses, shrunk it down a little bit, and I added these owls along the top. You can see I've done the same thing with some sheet music. I just gave it a background color. That's our hex paper there. You could use that for mapping. You can use it for quilt design. There's all kinds of things you can do with hex paper. People who like doing games love hex paper because they can map all kinds of things with it. Got mind maps, got daily notes, all of these things there. You can even put your school timetable and theme it with owls. Or a sleep tracker. I thought sleep trackers work really well with owls. And what's great is these would make awesome printables as well as book interiors. I did another one with tigers. Here's my tiger pack there. Again, I can turn off the margins and you can see what that looks like. There's so many approaches to doing this. You could put the image in the middle. You could just do calligraphy paper. Like that would be such a lovely calligraphy book right there. What else did I put in there? Oh yeah, I put a book review. So if you have a book club, you could just create this page once and actually just mirror it on the other side. And you'd have a book review book. That would be pretty awesome. Or you could put line paper on the other side and just generate that. And you'd have a really cool book review book like that. So that's the tiger one. And then the other pack I did is galaxies. And I love this. It's got a kind of sci-fi vibe. So with this one, I just put graph paper. And here's what's really nice with tangent templates. This is like why it's such a unique tool. Because you can create a page. And what you can do is, so first of all, let's put a galaxy image on the back. There's a good one. Let's put that one. And so what I do, I click the image. I go to arrange. And I turn off the margins. I say full width. And then I make it there. I just centered it. So really 3 clicks, turn off the margins, full width, center, and there we go. There's our image there. And I'm going to make that background. There's a button here, make background, and now I can actually work over the top of that so I can select things. And I'm going to draw a box. I'm going to fill it. I'm going to use one of these white shades here. And I like using these slightly off-white colors there, because it kind of merges better into the page. And now what's great about this is I have my box. I can stylize the corners. I like giving them round corners. Okay. And now I can fill the space with anything I want. I can put college rule, wide rule. I can do custom rules if I want to change the lines and make them sort of further apart or narrower. Same with graph paper. You've got 4x4, 5x5. You also have dot grid. So for this one, I think I'm just going to put college rule in there. Boom. There you go. You've got your lines. Now, sometimes there's a line at the top and bottom, so I just go in and click those, delete them. And what looks really nice is when you just bring the opacity down a little bit on this. So I'm going to make it, let's see, 70. That's maybe a little too much. There we go. So you can see now we have this really awesome box of lines that you can put in the middle of your page like that. And you have line paper. And if you want to put a border on that, you absolutely can. It has a thin border, but if you want to put something a bit more interesting on that, let's get that blue. And I'm going to make that a little bit thicker. There you go. And that's how easy you can make this really nice, like, line paper. We could have put dot grid in there. You could put graph paper. You have so many options with this. You can just put a template in there. You just click the rocket ship, grab your template, and drop it on there. Like, this is just a template. This is our Happy Memory Clouds template from the rocket ship. And what I did was I ungrouped the template and deleted the bottom 2 clouds, so it would just fit in the page a little bit better. And the same here with the night sky viewing. I just took the notes off the bottom and I changed the font. So what's really nice is you can actually you can edit all our templates. You can change the fonts on them. You can change how they look. So you have a lot of power with this new update to Tangent templates. So I'm going to put these 4 packs, the paper towns, the owls, the tigers, and the galaxy. I'm going to put those on Gumroad, and I'm going to make them pretty cheap, but you can buy those and then stick them on any of your templates if you want. So if you can't be bothered making images yourself at the moment, I've made some really big packs of images that you can use for your projects here. And you can use them for printables. These will make really awesome printables. Just make sure you check our licensing before you create printables, because we only let you use up to 5 of our templates in any printable product. So just check that. But you can use our templates, you can mix them with these images, and you can make both awesome KDP books and printables with these. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed taking a look at what you can do with AI. I am going to talk about this more in future. I know a lot of you are asking for more tutorials about using AI, and I can say I've been using several AI tools for quite a while and really exploring what you can do with them. I love the artwork that we have in these packs. I think it's really cool. And there's just so much, there's so much scope you have with AI, the better you get at writing prompts. With both ChatGPT and with Midjourney, DALL-E, all of the tools, you have a lot of power in your hands. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope this has been useful. I hope maybe it's demystified some of the things out there about AI. What's great, you can use this, publish your books on KDP. They will go on sale on Amazon within a couple of days, and then people can buy your books, buy your artwork that you've generated, and hopefully find it very useful. All right, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this. Have a good one. Bye.